Welcome to The Rest is Giant Robots, a conversation through the careers of writer Simon Furman and artist Andrew Wildman. Recollections and revelations about the highs and the lows as creatives in comics, books, games, film and TV.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 52 of The Rest is Giant Robots. I'm Simon Furman.
And I'm Andrew Wildman.
Hey, that one went off without a hitch for a change.
Yeah, I remembered my name.
Yes, that's always a good start. Anyway, welcome everyone. We're stepping out of our chronological careers, that was difficult to say, to do a little movie review episode, because we've got as I was saying, a critical mass of movies we've both seen and some we haven't both seen, but we'll discuss if we have time.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about
Disclosure Day, the Odyssey, and Spider-Man Brand New Day, primarily.
Is that the order we're doing it, or do you ever think there's an order that these things need to be spoken about?
Let's do them in release order, and in other words, the one I'm going to have to strain my memory most for first.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So let's start with Disclosure Day.
So before you start, where did you see it? I think it's always useful to know what kind of cinema it was seen in.
Yeah, our local multiplex is an Odeon in nearby Trowbridge, and that was where we go, really at the moment, unless we're in London or somewhere else, to see all our movies. So it was on a decently big screen with a decently big sound system. We were battered senseless by the trailers. Why are the trailers so loud? You know, it sounds like an old man thing to say, but they really have, the volume is just, you come out of it battered.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's the same in your little cinema, but
so are you talking about just the trailers, or are you talking about the adverts as well, or do you avoid the adverts? Or
we try and avoid the adverts. We try and get in after the adverts at least.
Yeah.
I don't mind if I miss the trailers, to be honest, because these days it's something like 20, 25 minutes. You could be sat there from program start time.
Yeah.
So we are trying to engineer it to get in either during the trailers or even after the trailers. So no, try to miss the adverts. But the trailers, to me, seem bludgeoning in their sort of volume.
Yeah.
More than the actual movie.
Yes. No, I agree. They do. I'm sure there's a very good but annoying reason for that. But
yeah,
they absolutely do. Yeah. Can you ever remember what the trailers were?
Sometimes, and I do notice they try and theme pack trailers now. So when we saw Send Help, there were a lot of sort of gory horror films in the same mix and so on. And, Spider-Man, you tend to get any other superhero-y, adventure-y things thrown into the trailers.
They've got to be age appropriate as well.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But, it's just, I used to love trailers, but I don't anymore.
No.
Trailers used to be builders of suspense and to hook you, but without revealing everything about the film. Yeah. These days, I've seen trailers and then seen the film and thought, oh my God, that bit was from the end. You've shown us the end of the film in the trailer. And you just think, oh, that's so wrong.
Yeah.
And when you think of...
You hope that you're going to get a sense of what the overall narrative is and the point. And sometimes even that doesn't fit. You watch the movie and you think, oh, I didn't think it would be quite that. All right. And which is sometimes is a nice surprise. And other times you're just like, what? So...
But they don't seem to bother with... There used to be a kind of almost teaser trailer that sometimes completely misled you about what the film was. Or something like the trailer for Alien, where it was just build up, tiny things, and then this sort of staccato rattle of images, too fast really to compute. that just made you went, oh my God. And then a kind of the jaws of the alien opening and then cut to black. And
Yeah.
in space, no one can hear you scream.
There you go. Which says it all, doesn't it? It's like, oh, I want to
Yes.
see that then. But I mean,
Yes.
some of that might be. It's either very, very clever. I would assume it was very, very clever that they did that. It's like, we're not going to show much. We're just going to show some stuff that gives a sense of what it's like, how horrific it is, and then a tagline that, so no dialogue, nothing like that. But sometimes trailers are put together when they haven't really even got the final cut, and certainly haven't got the music. So they use placeholder music or whatever. So sometimes, they don't have as much material as they would like. Not always, but sometimes. So that will make a difference to what a trailer is.
Just on that, a couple of trailers bubbled up on one of my social media feeds. Because again, I think people out there are missing this, cleverness of trailers. And the first one was for, of all things, Scooby-Doo. The first Scooby-Doo movie. The whole thing plays like you think it's Batman. It's a sort of mansion. It's a, something, creepy. It might even be a bat fluttering around. And then you go inside, you track through all these corridors, and you come up behind this figure with ears sticking up, looking out the window. And then he turns around and just does the Scooby-Doo laugh. And that's the trailer. And I just went, I see joy. And the other one, if you've never seen it, track it down. The trailer for Naked Gun 33 1/3.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to spoiler it. Just look for the teaser trailer for that. You don't know it's Naked Gun until the last couple of scenes, because it's dressed up like a sort of romantic Wuthering Heights thing. That's all I'm going to tell you. But look, check it out. It's just made me howl with laughter.
Brilliant. Yeah, maybe those days are gone. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. We're in a different trend for trailers now, so it'll change again at some point.
So onwards, Disclosure Day. Do you want to start, or shall
No,
I
I
kick off?
want to hear what you've got to say.
Okay, Disclosure
Well, I'll
Day.
do a very brief, because
Yes.
I'm not going to say an awful lot about it. I think I might kind of chip in while you're talking, but generally, I would say I was massively looking forward to it.
Yep.
Another Spielberg film. What felt like was probably the not kind of their kind of continuing narrative, but essentially the trilogy of Close Encounters, E.T., and then this. Those kind of alien sci-fi movies. I thought this looks awesome. I loved the look of the trailer, but overall I was disappointed with it. There was things that didn't hook together, things that weren't very well done, and most of all, I just thought it looked very dated.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, my overriding takeaway was, why did he bother making this film? Because the previous two films you've just name-checked, they were different from each other, but basically the same principle, Close Encounters and E.T. And this was just the less good cousin of those films.
Yeah.
And it had nothing new. In fact, the aliens themselves were so sort of stereotypical. And, I know he's channeling all that Area 51 thing in it, but I was bitterly disappointed in them. And I got to the end of it, and many other reservations. But my main thought was, why did he feel the need to do this film even?
I have heard that it was maybe conceived and initially part written a number of years ago.
Right.
I don't know if that's the case, but I'd heard that was a possible thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those ones where you think, he's such a good director, so many of his films are just, master classes in cinema, in how to put a story on film. But I found Disclosure Day, none of that. It was disjointed, badly conceived in places, uneven, all those things you just don't expect from Spielberg.
Yeah. Dodgy VFX.
Yeah, dodgy VFX, and I know there's an argument for saying the alien animals are supposed to look a bit otherworldly, but I just thought they looked like cartoons slapped into a live action film.
Yeah. Which when you know the amount of work that goes into kind of creating that, you kind of have to feel for the people that did all that. That for whatever reason, it just didn't read very well. It just didn't occur as real enough.
Yeah. But mostly unforgivable is again, the story part of me is always dissecting movies as I'm watching them and then afterwards.
Yeah.
And there were so many things that made no sense or were just badly done.
Yeah.
And chief among those is the sort of Men in Black style agents who are running around through it.
Right.
They are either utterly incompetent to the point where they can't spot a great big lummox of a guy sort of sneaking around behind a thin fence behind them,
Yeah.
and steals their car without them noticing, and then they can't catch him, and then they give him enough time to rig the car to drive off a cliff.
Yeah.
Or they're the most brilliant agents in the world, and they can find somebody just like that and then converge on the scene. And then they go in and they're confused by an invisible house. Instead of
Yeah.
just, well, cordon off the area, there's something here,
Yeah.
aim weapons, they just stand there scratching their heads. And then in the final scenes, they just kind of almost shrug their shoulders and walk off.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
So rule number one is there's something going on in it. Get some guys around the back.
yes, that's right. Seal off the outside. Don't put everyone at the front inside. There were so many instances of this. Like I say, I could fill a podcast, but it just seemed clumsy, and that made me think that Spielberg was sort of phoning it in. Because
Mm.
you look at his other things. You look at something as lean and mean as Jaws or Duel, or any one of either even ET and Close Encounters. They're really well tooled bits of cinema. The story mechanics all mesh, and the payoff is good and it's consistent. But Disclosure Day was all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, a lot of that's going to depend on who he's got around him. So he's kind of overseen the whole thing, obviously. But I think it was written by David Koepp, wasn't it? Who wrote
Yes.
Jurassic Park and all that kind of thing. Jurassic Park, I mean, brilliant. In terms
Mm,
of script writing, absolutely incredible. And David Koepp is, an incredible writer. But he wrote the most recent Jurassic film, didn't he?
yes.
And that was like really the scripting, and this is not what I would have expected from a writer of his caliber. So maybe some of that is down to that, and also I don't know who the editor was. I should have looked it up, but the edit is going to make a huge amount of difference
Yeah.
because it looked like a Spielberg film, but with the wheels almost falling off, and that was very, very surprising.
Yes. There were so many things that didn't make sense. The construction of the girl's house from when she was a child, you
Yeah,
afterwards you sort of went, why? What did that accomplish? Why not just create the bedroom? Why the whole house? There doesn't need to be the whole. You could just create the bedroom if the illusion is what you want, and on it went. So I
yeah,
came away with such a sense of disappointment about it. And strangely, there are good bits in it.
yeah,
There are exciting, good bits, and the whole thing of the sort of the possession and what's his name, being able to sort of drop into other places and
mm,
influence events.
mm.
um you know all good stuff, but the whole thing just didn't gel for me.
I went to see it with my friend Jim, I think, or did I go with Leslie? Oh dear, I should remember. Anyway, somebody said to me one thing they didn't understand was the authorities. The Emily Blunt character kind of revealed herself to the public when she started speaking in that funny voice. She was not aware of it, and just suddenly she started speaking in that voice. So, like, when did they build? Like, why did they build the
Yeah.
house, or did they manage to build it in 5 minutes? I don't know.
None of the chronology works in terms of she's revealed, but meanwhile the house is already in construction before before she
Yeah,
reveals herself.
yeah.
So
So,
again, how?
yeah,
And anyway, there's so many things. And my biggest beef, and this is going to keep coming up today, is the length of the film.
Yeah.
Oh, it was way too long. And I sometimes, and when we talk about the Odyssey, I will say that can be a good thing. But in
Mm,
this case, it just made it grueling to get to
mm,
the end of.
yeah. Yeah. A shame because I liked the look of it. It was well shot. I mean, it did look dated, but in some ways that wasn't too bad. There was a lot of like the two previous Spielberg films that we mentioned, and then what the influence he had on cinema. Um, a lot of those kinds of films are very lens flary. To get lens
Mm,
flares in the back, all that kind of stuff, and it had that in it, which is
yeah.
kind of not a thing now. But I thought, no, this nails it as one of those films.
Hmm.
So I didn't have some people have a problem with that. I didn't have a problem with that at all. It looked dated, but in a good way. But there were other things that just made it feel dated, and I think some of that's going to be because of other films that it's up against and playing against at the moment. Anyway, you kind of have to take it in and of itself rather than
Yeah.
compare it to other contemporary movies. But it is going to suffer from that,
Yeah.
because it was in some ways it was a classic Spielberg sci-fi movie, which is what everyone was looking forward to. Emily Blunt was great in it.
Hmm.
There was one really, really good scene. The best thing in it, I thought, was when they were both on that in that railway carriage, and there were all the were they violins or cellos, something in the railway carriage, and they were
Hmm.
vibrating and playing a tune, and it just messed with her head. And the
Yes.
way she played that, the way she was totally overcome by it, that was so well done. That was the standout scene in the movie.
I
All the
mean,
big stuff like the reveal of the aliens and stuff was like, oh, well, yeah, okay,
yes.
but
I mean, Colin Firth was really good. I thought, the acting generally was really good, and like I say, there were scenes where, especially the early scenes with Emily Blunt, I thought were really well done,
mm,
and I thought, oh, I haven't seen this before. This is interesting, but
yeah,
it just got lost in this morass of either regurgitated kind of alien Men in Black stuff,
yeah,
or just in plot that didn't make sense. Why doesn't the sort of guru like guy who
yeah,
has no depth whatsoever steal all three of these alien artifacts when he
yeah,
leaves? Why leave them one? That
mm,
wasn't explained, and it was just like, oh, well, it's convenient for the plot that the bad guys, quote unquote, have this device they can use. And this device also, another slight beef, seems to be able to do anything they need the plot to do.
okay, yeah,
Suddenly it's a magical thing that can do this and do that. And it's not set up well in that case. It's like, oh, we need to turn the house visible again. Oh, our alien key can do that.
yeah. It's the
Really?
classic Deus Ex Machina, isn't it? You
Yeah,
just pull
that's
it out
right.
to just solve a problem. Oh, I've got
Yeah,
this in my hidden secret pocket. I have a
yes.
special device.
Anyway, unfortunately, I would say Disclosure Day gets a big thumbs down from me, although some of its parts were very well done.
I I've said a few times, I think on here, and I say to people that I talk to about movies, you can get an awful lot out of a second viewing of a movie. You can get a very different experience out of a second viewing of a movie. And I only saw Disclosure Day once, but
Mm,
I wonder how well it'll play if and when I ever see it again. Because all those beefs will be out of the way, and hopefully they won't get
yeah.
in the way. And you might notice things where you think, "Oh, right, okay, yeah, I get that now," or whatever. But
Yeah, honestly, if I never see it again, it will be too soon.
so that was Disappointment Day for you.
Yes, yes, that's right. Yeah, it's like, why did you bother, Day? Come
Oh
on,
my god.
Spielberg, you can do better.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely it can. Yeah. Yeah. I saw that and the other two films we're going to talk about as always in my local cinema. So just want to give a huge shout out to the Living Room Cinema, Chipping Norton. A great little venue, really comfortable, great service, wonderful staff, treat you really well. and it's got a really good sound system, which is absolutely key when you're seeing any movie really, but certainly a big movie.
Yeah.
So big shout out to them.
Before we move on, can I just recommend, it's not a new film by any means, but a friend recommended it to me and I watched it. But if you haven't seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil, I thoroughly recommend it. I found it on just one of my streaming channels. I won't plug one or the other, but
Okay.
look out for it. It's a brilliant subversion of the sort of cabin in the woods horror movie,
Okay.
but it's
Right.
genuinely funny, completely unexpected in lots of ways, and
Yeah.
just the performances. It's Alan, and I'm never sure how to say his name, Tudyk, Tudyk, who
Right.
was
Don't
in
know.
Firefly and other things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's brilliant in it, but the whole thing is just. I mean, it's like an hour and a half joy, and it just is so funny and wrong and gory, but it just brilliantly subverts the whole genre and your expectations.
Okay, nice. We'll have to put that in the show notes. Just
Yeah,
what it is, because yeah.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil, very funny. Anyway, yes, moving on
Moving swiftly on,
to
or
the
not.
Odyssey. The Odyssey, I guess, is the next one.
Yeah. So this is not Disappointment Day. This is Jason Bourne and the Argonauts.
Yeah, yes, yeah, very much. You do wish he'd crack a smile once in it, but Matt Damon. But actually, here we go. I thought the Odyssey was great. I
Okay,
really
good.
enjoyed it. I
Mm-hmm.
thought the beginning was a bit stodgy. It takes a
Mm.
while to get motoring, but from then on, I admired so much about it. I mean, it's a long movie, best part of 3 hours,
Mm.
but I didn't feel it in the way I felt it with Disclosure Day and Spider-Man when we get to that.
Okay.
I I thought it was really enjoyable, and I thought it had something to say as well. When you analyze the Odyssey itself, the song book that it's
Yeah.
based on,
Yeah.
um, it's like, well, why on earth did it take him how so long? Okay, I know the Trojan Wars went on for a period of time, but
Right.
why then did it take him so long? Because when you see it on a map, we watched an interesting thing with Dan, and I forget his
Snow.
second Snow, yes,
Yeah.
where he's on a boat doing the Odyssey effectively around
Right.
the Greek islands. It was really good. We saw it before the film, and it was
Yeah.
really helpful as a sort of scene setter for the
Okay.
movie itself. Well worth checking out.
Yeah.
And we watched that, and I thought, yeah, you look at it on a map, it's like, how the hell did it take him so long? And what I thought the film addressed really, really well was, here's why it took him so long. Psychologically, there was stuff going on apart from storms and cyclopses and whatever
Mm.
else. There was a psychological reason why he almost doesn't want to get home. And I thought that was brilliantly laced into the narrative.
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
Well, okay, and I mean, basically, when you boil it down, it's a soldier with PTSD,
Yeah.
and I
Sure.
thought,
Yeah.
that was a really good kind of explains so much, but it
Yeah.
also has emotional and psychological weight to it as well. And I
Yeah.
just generally thought it was a cracking movie, and I didn't feel the passage of nearly 3 hours hardly at all.
And
I mean,
do
I have
and
I have
yeah.
criticisms, but let me. Why don't you give me your
Say
thoughts
something.
on it?
Yeah. Okay. I was massively looking forward to it. I mean, I'm not always. I love Christopher Nolan films. I don't necessarily love all of them, as not so much as others. Whatever, some of them are quite flawed, but generally he is a very significant filmmaker. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt about it. And after the success of Oppenheimer, it's like, this is going to be big. When people heard that he was making the Odyssey, they're like,
Oh,
all right, go large.
yeah,
um, So I went to see it at the living room cinema. Obviously, I've since heard people say, which slightly annoys me. People say if you're going to see the Odyssey, you have to see it in IMAX. It's like,
Oh no.
no, you shouldn't have to see it in IMAX. It should work on
Mm.
any format. Okay, it's going to be bigger, but it shouldn't necessarily be better. It'll be more of a spectacle, but that's not always a good thing, because then sometimes you lose the smaller moments if you're
Mm.
just there to be overwhelmed by spectacle. Anyway, so I went to see it in the living room cinema in my favourite seat with my name on it, like right at the front, right in the middle, with a footstool. So it was occurring very, very large in front of me,
Yeah.
and I kind of liked it, but I got to the end of it and I was disappointed. And when I come out of a movie, they always, like the duty manager or whatever, um, Simon or whoever tends to be there, they always say, "Oh, what did you think, Andrew?" And I just went, "Yeah, it's all right." And they're like, "What?" It's
Mm.
just all right, you know. Oh, okay. Um, so there were lots of things that I didn't like about it, but just in a nutshell, it just left me feeling flat. I just thought
Mm.
a lot. It's been nearly 3 hours. A lot have happened, but to a huge extent, like nothing's really happened. A lot's happened, but nothing's happened really. It didn't have enough rise and fall. It didn't have enough emotional content for me, so it left me kind of feeling flat. So I did what I sometimes do. A friend of mine wanted to go and see it, so I thought I'll go and see it again because there's clearly something I'm missing with this.
Mm-hmm.
So I went again. Um, I'd kind of read up a couple of things between the two viewings just to get a bit of context, really. To think, is there a point I'm missing here? I haven't read the original text, but I'm
Right.
aware of it. I mean, obviously, I'm aware of all the the different things that go through it. With the horse and the Cyclops, and the different characters and da 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 da. So I kind of knew all of that. Anyway, I went to see it a second time. I think the beginning is very kind of choppy and doesn't
Mm.
really do what it needs to do efficiently enough. It very, very quickly chops through to try and set you up, but I didn't feel sufficiently set up for the rest of it.
Right.
I loved because there's the whole thing, because it's originally a poem, isn't it?
Yes.
And then the bit at the end where Odysseus says, this story will be told in song and all that kind of thing, which I thought was a very interesting way to end it, in terms of nodding to what he hoped people would learn from it. And
Mm.
basically Nolan saying we kind of haven't learned anything really, have we? We're living
No.
in the Trump era and we've learned nothing.
Yes.
But I like the fact that the film opened with Travis Scott, the rapper, doing those kind of one word songs, banging the staff and going, "A
Mm.
man," and then "a horse," all that kind of
Yeah.
thing. That I thought was really clever. I
Mm.
thought, well done, bringing somebody contemporary into it. He's not reciting a poem as such, but
Yeah.
you're kind of getting that nod to a contemporary way of telling a story, and those were the key words in the story, essentially. So that was good. So then you get bits and pieces set up. Like I say, I thought it was very, very cutty early on. Some of the scenes didn't quite fit together. Nolan does his thing where he either plays with time or has the edit chop forwards and backwards,
Mm.
rather than this being a kind of a linear narrative,
Yeah.
um, which it kind of is. But he obviously had to do that for a reason, because you needed the reveal of the woman whose face he couldn't get out of his head, that he
Yes.
then personified Athena as that. So
Yeah.
the whole kind of Troy thing. So there had to be that chopping in the edit, but I thought it was too much.
Mm.
Where are we now? Okay, right, got that. Even the on the beach when they build the horse, that was like, so this bit's happening after that bit or before that bit.
Yeah.
It was slightly confusing.
Yeah. I
I mean,
didn't mind that.
they're on the beach for 10 years
Yeah.
before they sack Troy. They're on the beach for 10 years getting supplies from somewhere. Okay, fair enough. Um, the thing I didn't understand was you see the half-constructed horse lying on the sand, and I was left with a, how the hell are they making that? Like, this is not just like the kind of Trojan horse that we've seen in other versions where, yeah,
Mm.
it's kind of horse shaped and it's got wheels on. So somebody clearly made that. But it's like, who is the absolute master craftsman
No, I
that's
know.
made a very lifelike
Well,
looking horse at that scale and with what tools? I
and
have no idea.
and that they bought on a combat mission, basically. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, because you bring a master carver, don't you, with you on your
Yeah.
sort of siege of Troy. No, look,
Yeah.
listen, things didn't work. The horse to me still doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like, even however realistically they tried to portray the interior of it, and
Yeah.
it's like, did no one think this weighs far more than it should? You know, did no one hear so much as a grunt when they got it, bumping it over? It still, as a device, doesn't work, the Trojan horse.
There
And
was one bit I noticed on the second viewing that I didn't notice on the first viewing, which I thought was wrong in the first viewing, which was when they bring the Trojans bring the horse in and all that kind of thing, and there's somebody walking across it, stabbing his sword in. You're thinking, oh Jesus, what? Because they're trying to find out what is it hollow? What's it?
yeah,
Stabbing the sword in, and it goes into somebody's shoulder. And I thought, well, that's the giveaway then. But it wasn't until the second viewing I noticed that as the sword is coming out, somebody just wipes the blade before it goes out, which I thought, oh yeah, smart. I missed that. I'm annoyed with myself that I missed that. That was a
yeah.
nice little touch. But
No, I mean, generally, I just thought it was great. My downside of it was I couldn't get Monty Python out of my head in many bits of it, especially the giant knights on the island. There's a lot of run away,
yeah,
that happens a lot. Back to the ship, run away. And it's so reminding me of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And,
yeah,
even the knight itself is like the knight that, you know, gets confronted and has his arms and legs chopped off. And it's like, come back, I'll bite you. It just the comedy of it. I just thought, oh, this is taking me out of the movie. And I know there's no, that's just me. And
yeah,
it just like just but narratively as well, it was just a bit like we keep turning up places and running away. They do it
yeah,
about 3 times at least.
yeah. With not enough, probably not enough difference
No.
aesthetically in some ways between one and the other. I mean, I've got to get back to the horse and the beach.
Okay.
How on earth did Sinner not know they were in there? Like, I
Mm,
missed that the first time. How did he? How did he not know that they were in there? Like, he was there in the beginning. He
yeah.
was charged with standing outside there and guarding it. But as
Yes.
when Odysseus goes to Hades or whatever and apologizes to him, he said, "I had to do that. I could not have you know that we were in there." It's like,
Yeah.
where did he go? Did he go to the supermarket for a
Yeah.
while they all
That's
got
right.
in? I don't.
Quickly, get in quickly. And
Before
then
he comes back.
if they were all inside, who ordered him to stand guard on it in that way?
Well, he'd
Because they
been
were
pre-ordered to do that, but
yeah, it did no, it didn't. I thought that whole thing, that emotional beat of
yeah,
the young soldier, just felt sort of slapped on. It didn't feel organic.
yeah. Where did the boats go as well? What did
Yes,
what?
many, many questions. But,
um,
I was still carried along by the movie, as you'd hope for something. I missed, strangely, a few more Ray Harryhausen scale effects.
yeah, yeah,
Poseidon is just a few storms and a whirlpool, really. And I
yeah.
kind of missed more Cyclops type stuff. I thought the Cyclops was brilliant, and
I
that whole
yeah.
scene.
I, I, I I wasn't convinced by the scene, but I thought it was very clever the way they did it. I think the fact that they didn't show any gods. It was represented by the elements. I thought worked really well. So then the
Mm,
only significant god was that herself wasn't there. Was Athena. I mean, he was just having a vision of Athena, but you didn't see any God. So it's
No.
like, so are they real or are they not real? I mean, because
Yeah.
gods aren't real, are they? So he's adding realism by just having it all be their belief
Yeah. I know. You're
rather than
right.
something
I know that. But fundamentally, I missed something. Even
Miss
the
Harryhausen.
you know is it the sea beast is Scylla, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
And even that, it wasn't there wasn't enough of a monster there. It was like they were coy about having monsters, and I
yeah,
think that was a shame. I think that was where they could have just amped it up a bit and had more. Even the Cyclops, they try and make just a giant human,
yeah,
whereas the Harryhausen model would be full monster kind of stomping around. And I
yeah.
just think it missed a beat of having more monster action in it.
I mean, I think the choice he made to do like in camera effects or
Mm,
clever clever use of lenses to to get senses of scale, all that kind of thing. I really admire that in many ways, and not to use CGI. But I mean, they had to use CGI as they did with
yes.
Scylla, so that's probably why they tried to play it down a bit. The
Yeah.
tentacles that came down and pulled people out were rigged animatronics,
Mm,
dressed animatronics. So they pulled the people out. But when you saw the tentacle beast inside of the mountain, that was CGI, and I think they tried to just like don't concentrate on that too much because we're letting
mm.
ourselves down with that.
But strangely, I think that was where it fell down a little bit for me. I wanted more of that gods and monsters stuff
Yeah,
front
I did.
front and center.
I did like the way that they did Cyclops in as much as it wasn't like the Cyclopses we've seen before, where it is, son of a god with one eye. It was a deformed face that just
Mm,
so it just occurred as one eye because the face was all
yes.
twisted. You could
Mm,
see the remnants of what should have been the other eye. So I thought, from a design point of view, I thought that was really really
yes.
clever. Um,
Yeah, I agree. I
I
thought it. I
wasn't
thought.
convinced by the scale necessarily. It it looked too much like filming a real man in shadow. That I thought, well, it's a real guy, so
Yeah.
I'm not. Maybe more extreme upshots would have helped. We had the big hand come into shot, like you have to with those things. We thought, oh, hey, we've got the big hand. The
Yes.
the the um the soldiers that Polyphemus bites the heads off, Cyclops
Yeah.
bites the heads off. They were figures that they made out of some polymer, and they filled them with blood, and they put a skeleton in and dressed them. But they looked like something,
Yes.
floppy
Yeah.
floppy doll. Mm.
Yeah. I'm not sure the scale thing. If they'd have shown it in the cold light of day, whether the hand quite matched the Cyclops in scale, if you see what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
So anyway, I mean, I still, just I guess we better move on to Spider-Man, but I still enjoyed
I
it.
got what's there.
I know we probably have. Well, maybe we'll
We'll
do
do a part
another.
two.
We'll do a part two on maybe the Odyssey. So let's move on to Spider-Man, shall we? As time is ticking on.
Yeah.
Spider-Man: Brand New Day, the sort of fourth of the Tom Holland Spider-Man films.
Hmm.
Uh, Now, generally, I enjoyed this. I think again too long. Just they've started making Marvel movies around or just under 2 hours, and I think that's perfect.
Right.
This was 2.5 hours or more, and it felt it.
Right.
And I thought they got Spider-Man really well. The whole thing about him being on his own and thinking that's the right way to go, and I thought there was a good emotional character arc, and the stuff with Spider-Man was done brilliantly, whether it's the web swinging between buildings, um, or just the action. The action I thought was incredible in it. But
Mm.
I think fundamentally, what I didn't like was it felt like slightly like three Spider-Man movies in one. It sort
Yeah.
of felt like there was this bit, at what should be Act 1 of 3 felt like that's its own little Spider-Man movie. Oh, then we
Mm.
move on to this Spider-Man movie,
Right.
and then it moves on to another at the end. And yes, there are obviously continuing threads and everything, but I did feel I sort of went, oh, I've sort of got to the end of that. Oh no, here's the next bit. And
Mm.
the whole bit with Sadie Sink's character, I
Yeah.
didn't like for two reasons. One, again, they just kind of close it off and then almost restart it like it's another movie.
Yeah.
And her character changes. She's this sort of master villain in the initial sequences, and
Hmm.
then she's this suddenly sympathetic character, and the two just didn't marry up for me at all.
Okay. Okay.
So, and also I felt slightly cheated because I wanted a Spider Man villain. I really wanted a Spider Man villain, and this melding didn't work for me. There's no spoilers here, but I thought, oh, great, who's this? Who can do this? And
Yeah.
then I realised what it was, and I thought, oh, I'm slightly disappointed by that. It doesn't feel like a Spider Man movie anymore.
No. No, I know what you mean. Yeah. I had not dissimilar feelings.
Yeah,
I like I say, I haven't. I can't remember what the last Spider-Man film I saw was. I mean, I found the casting thing is different. Is difficult in a different way for me. So like going into the Odyssey and seeing the trailer for Spider-Man, and you got Tom Holland and John Bernthal and Zendaya. It's like, oh my god, oh yeah, Spider-Man movie. Oh look, there's Spider-Man. There's little Tom doing his Spider-Man thing, all that. And then going into the Odyssey, I can't get my head around Telemachus now because that's Tom Holland. So when I actually went
yeah,
to see Spider-Man, it's like, okay, yeah. So this is not he's not a Greek
yes,
god now. He's back to being like cute little Spider-Man. Brilliant. Okay,
yes,
so I kind of got my head around that pretty much straight away. That's okay. I think Tom Holland is a really good Spider-Man / Peter Parker. I think he
yeah,
plays both of those roles really, really well. I liked him. The only thing that what I also really liked, as opposed to other Spider-Man films I've seen, is how faithful they are to the costume.
mm,
Because we've had different versions of that where they've really sexed it up, and I get why, and there have been slightly different versions in the comics, I guess. But it was so nice to see the classic costume. There were a
mm,
couple of bits that slightly annoyed me on the back, just below the shoulders, near the collarbones. There was a funny little kind of the red webbing bit had a little bit that kind of
mm,
scooped. It's like, why? Just get the nice clean lines. But that's minor.
yeah,
That's an artist quibbling about very, very minor things. But I thought he was good. I thought he was. Now I don't know whether this is because he's been in a lot of training for the Odyssey or what, but he's too developed. Spider-Man was
yes,
always quite
mm,
lean as a character,
yeah,
like super strength because he's part arachnid, but not hench, not like that. Um, so he was a little bit too buff for my liking.
yeah. I mean,
um,
I had a couple of other beefs as well. I felt, what I don't like about this enmeshed into the Marvel universe Spider-Man as opposed to the Sony's versions, but this more sort of Marvel movies version is how tech reliant he is.
yeah,
Spider-Man was never that. He might rig up a gadget to defeat Electro or something, but he wasn't this reliant on tech. Tech is everywhere
mm,
throughout the film. And I found it really intrusive in my enjoyment of Spider Man as a character that he is utterly reliant throughout the movie on this, sort of computer that can do anything in
mm,
his, in his what? In his mask somewhere in a, and even the sort of the chip thing is like it's tech again.
yeah.
All the way through, it's tech, 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 and that isn't really the Spider-Man ethos, I guess.
But isn't that inevitable given the times we live in? I mean,
Mm,
if Stanley was writing it now, it would essentially be the same character, but you would have that
but
kind of stuff in it, wouldn't you?
I just think they needed to dial it back. In this one, it was prevalent throughout,
Yeah.
The sort of oh, I can calculate exactly how much distance there has to be between them. The old Spider-Man would have figured another way to do
Yeah.
that.
Well, just
You
use
know,
his spider sense. Yeah.
yes, or something, but it just felt all the way through it was face recognition, measuring this, analyzing that. He used to just hear a cry for help and go to help. Now he's on the police band all the time and his phone. I just found it deadening, the amount of tech in that film. And my one
Mm.
other beef before I move on is I thought the Punisher, although I enjoyed him in this film, there's so many versions of him played by John Bernthal,
Bernthal. Yeah.
Bernthal, um, that this one, the slightly sort of softer, more PG friendly Punisher, just doesn't gel. I mean, if you've ever seen the recent Punisher one shot thing, One Last Kill,
Mm.
they turn him into this, remorseless killing machine, like a Terminator, and
Right.
and so the versions of the Punisher within this same interconnected universe just don't sit well with me.
Okay. But I mean, he needs to be the emotionally damaged version, doesn't he?
Yes, but they're all the emotionally damaged version, but it's almost like here's the adult kind of 18 certificate Punisher. Here's the slightly more 15 rated Punisher, and here's the 12A Punisher.
Right.
And you know, when you're exposed to all of this stuff, you just go, damn, where's the consistency here?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Any other
The,
thoughts?
yeah, I mean it was too long. Far too long. And I agree with you that it didn't feel just like one coherent film. I don't understand people say when you say it's too long, people say, yeah, but what would you cut out? Um I think I don't know why they had any of the Hulk stuff in it.
No,
It
great,
was
but
totally superfluous. I mean, he went to he went to Bruce Banner because he was talking about the research that Banner had done to do this thing, but then he
yeah,
did it all himself anyway. And even Zendaya
exactly.
turned out to be an absolute, you know,
Of course, yes.
incredible scientist. It's
Oh,
like,
by the way, I'm a master in biological something or other. Of course you are, because the plot, again, it felt like the plot demands it that she is here.
yeah. So there was no need for the Banner Hulk thing at all. That would have saved a lot of time. And I agree with you. The villain. The trouble about sort of dialing up villains so that they are so powerful, like Jean Grey is.
Huh?
Um, oh,
Spoiler.
oh, okay. Well, whatever. But dialing up the villain to the degree that they very often do in these things, then makes a classic Spider-Man villain like the Scorpion, which I really loved all that stuff. There was a lot of jeopardy while he was fighting the Scorpion, and but then all of a sudden it just dissipates into almost irrelevance, like it was just a cameo appearance, really.
Yeah,
And
it
yeah, they could have
was.
got so much more out of that.
All the Spider-Man villains were cameos, and that's really a shame. Tombstone, the Tarantula, but they were there for a kind of postcard moment.
Yeah,
And like I say, and that plays into what I didn't like about it. It's like, where were the Spider-Man villains in it?
yeah. Are they kind of just using them all up, getting them out of the way, so they can come up with new stuff? So clearly, the person whose name I shouldn't have mentioned, which I will bleep out because it's a spoiler, it's like, okay, so when we find out who that villain is, which was very intriguing until we did find out.
Mm,
And when it's Sadie Sink, God bless her, she's amazing. I mean, she was great in Stranger Things. So it's so good to see her be, given kind of roles like this. I think she added a lot of heft
yes,
to it. I think in terms of the emotional drama, um, but but it's like, oh right, so then this is just a massive trailer for another movie that's
yeah,
coming
of
up.
course it is. And the reason for the Hulk, I'm sure, is that in the Marvel universe they want him out of the picture for Avengers Doomsday. So
Right.
he's
Okay.
removed you can almost see this is set up for this is set up for that. And all that took away for me from it being a Spider-Man movie. It's like if you're
Yeah,
just setting up 6 other movies here, I've lost interest in the film I should be watching and enjoying.
yeah. Yeah, that whole kind of setup thing always seemed odd. I've just watched a movie, and I've been I've been sold a movie, and yet I've been shown a movie, and yet I've been sold a trailer. I've been sold
Yeah,
another
it is.
movie,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Well,
It's always a bit cheeky. It always was a bit cheeky in a way, but
and the Sadie Sink side of that is just, here's something we're rebooting and introducing
yeah,
into
okay. Well,
this universe.
oh, well, it's good
Anyway,
actually. Yeah,
we have waffled possibly long enough, although we may come back to the Odyssey at some point.
I think we definitely will. I've got plenty more to say about the Odyssey. The Odyssey Part 2.
Yes. Is he going to do the Iliad next? That's what we need to know. But anyway,
I hope not.
it has been fun chatting movies, and no doubt there's others you've seen, a few others I've seen. Is it The Invitation? I've not seen that, but you really rated that.
The Invite.
Didn't you?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Invite, yeah.
yeah. Thoroughly recommend
Which
that.
I really want to catch. So hopefully will appear in streaming terms, and we can have a chat about that. But I've heard really good things.
Yeah, we're going to go and see Moss and Freud this afternoon.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
It's about the kind of meeting between Lucian Freud and Kate Moss when Lucian Freud painted. Yeah, it's really good. Derek Jacobi and I can't remember the girl's name.
Okay, good. Yeah, you can let us all know next time we do one of these.
Yeah, fabulous.
Look,
good. All right, Simon.
Yep, thank you everyone for tuning in as always, and please do keep sending questions in. We will do another Q&A one when we get a critical mass of your questions to us about anything, Transformers or anything else connected with our careers.
I've just realised I've got a light shining across my face for the whole.
You have, yes.
Simon, you didn't tell me. Oh my God, well, I wasn't looking at myself.
I was enjoying not seeing you. No, that's not the case. Anyway, thanks everyone, and bye for now.
Yeah, bye for now. Thank you for listening to The Rest is Giant Robots. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider subscribing for more and maybe share with like-minded friends. This has been a Wildfur production.